Day 10. Welcome to lesson 1 of your topic on human wellbeing and geography. A few little housekeeping things that I just want to cover before we get stuck into the lesson. The first being that it would be really beneficial if you still work from your workbooks, at home, just because in the event we do end up going back to school at whatever point, it's still a really great idea to have all our work in the one place. So continue working through your workbooks, even though these lessons are operating virtually. So with that being said, the first topic we're going to be studying is human well-being. So that's it there. Feel free to make a title page if you like, but it is of course not compulsory. Your heading for today is lesson 1, introduction, and you might even want to add to that introduction to human well-being, just so it's relevant for us. Now, what we're going to start with each lesson is what we call a learning intention and success criteria. So what the learning intention outlines is the syllabus dot point that we're aiming to understand and create greater knowledge and depth and understanding of. So today's syllabus dot point is to understand the broad concept of human well-being and its characteristics. And the success criteria is what we have to do to achieve that learning intention. So if we can identify positive and negative impacts in our life, as well as a definition of human well-being, that is showing that we are succeeding in our learning intention, which is to understand the concept of human well-being and its characteristics. So what I would get you to do after you've written your heading is to write the learning intention and success criteria down, because we're going to come back and review that later. So the first thing I want you to do is we're going to explore this concept of human well-being, and then we're going to, by the end of the lesson, come up with a definition of what human well-being actually means. So the first activity I want you to do, and again this is part of our success criteria, identifying positive and negative impacts in our life. What I would like you to do is think of factors which have a positive impact in your life. Now they can be a range of factors, from things such as sort of basic things that you might take for granted, so things like a house, shelter, food, water, family, that sort of thing. But it could also be other things that are a bit more not as obvious. So things like the impact on technology, having going to sport on the weekends, anything like that. So what I would like you to do is write 3 things that have a positive impact on your life. Of those 3 things, I want you to draw 2 of them. And then what I would like you to do with the last one is share it. Now, in a normal classroom setting, we would just stand up and share this, but because we're online, what I would like you to do is comment on the lesson 1 post, one thing that has a positive impact on your life, and particularly for your human well-being. So go ahead and do that. Pause this video and do that, and then come back to the next activity. Now that you've done that, we're going to do the opposite. So I would like you to think about what are 3 things that have a negative impact on your life. So things that might affect your well-being or your human well-being in a negative way. So writing 3 of those, drawing 2 of those 3, and then sharing 1 in the classroom comment post below as well. Now they can be both in the same comment or they can be separate comments. But in place of the normal learning classroom environment, that's how we're going to go about it today. So pause that, complete that, and then we'll move on to our next activity. So now that we've looked at what are some positive and negative aspects that can impact our human well-being, things that make us happy, I guess, I want you to break those down into what are some essential things that we actually need to survive. Now, I've got spaces for 5 points here. I want you to write at least 5 things. So writing this question, and then writing at least 5 things that you believe are essential to survive, okay? You might think there's more things, and that's fine, but I want you to get down at least 5. Now, handy hint, if you want to go back and replay, I talked a little bit about probably some essential things that have a positive impact on your well-being here that you might want to put down there. So some 5 things that you think are essential to survive in today's world. So pause that. Once you've done it, we'll move on to slide 8. Now that we've looked at things that give us essential things to survive with, I want you to think about what are those other core things that aren't necessarily essential to your survival, but help contribute to having a good life or having good well-being. So what I would like you to do is write the term good life not the music festival, just the term here. And then if you can, draw these arrows coming into it. And I want you to list again 5 things that aren't necessarily essential to live and survive, things that you could go without, but these are things that improve your well-being drastically, even though they're not essential. So writing those 5 there. So pause that, and once you've done, we'll move on to the last thing. So what I would like you to do now is consider everything that we've looked at so far. So in terms of things that are having a positive impact and a negative impact on our lives, things that we find essential to living, and then things that aren't essential but still have a pretty big impact on our human well-being. And I want you to come up with a definition of human well-being that sort of encompasses those 4 things, right? So what we mean by that is human well-being obviously can be important things that have a positive impact on your life, and that can affect your human well-being in a good way. But there are also some negative things that could have a poor impact on your human well-being. Okay, so by identifying those 2 things, we're saying what human well-being is and what it's not. And then I want you to break it down between what is essential to survive and what just gives us things that really improve our well-being. So it's not necessarily just about, say, food, water, shelter, those core sort of things we need to survive. But having human well-being is also about having things that can improve your overall health and mood. So things like hanging out with friends, things like going to sport on the weekend. Okay, those things all contribute to human well-being. They just contribute to it in different ways. So writing a sentence or 2 on your own definition of what human well-being means for you is our last activity there. So what I would like you to do once you've done that is go back to your learning intention and success criteria. And I want you to think if we have met our learning intention for today. So what we've done, or what I would like to think that we've done to achieve this, is we have identified what positive and negative impacts in our life are. And we've listed some of those down in our books. And then we've written at the end, considering everything we've learnt in this lesson, a definition of what human well-being is. Okay, so if you think you met that criteria, you could circle your success criteria, give it a tick, or you might highlight it in green to indicate yes. If you're not sure, highlight it in red or give it a cross and let your teacher know so that they can book a time with you to go over that and help you improve your understanding of that topic. That's it for lesson 1 today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you for lesson 2.